People of the internet, welcome back to another video. It is I, Don Thomas, back in here with another one. As always, folks, the likes, the comments, the subscribes are all greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for the support on this channel. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic, folks. Are you guys aware? There's a new movement going around. It looks like it originated in Korea, South Korea. It's called the 4B movement. I have two clips here, two shorts that I kind of wanted to play. I've been hearing about this. I've heard about it. I thought it was just another TikTok trend. So I heard about it a few months ago, but I didn't really pay it any mind. But I'm seeing, of course, on these internet streets that it's picking up some traction. It's slowly but surely trying to make its way over here in the United States. What is the 4B movement, you ask? Let me play this clip. I'll play a few clips, and then, of course, as I usually do, I'll go ahead and give my take or my thoughts as to what I think should be an alternative to this approach. Let's take a look.
Have you heard about the 4B movement? Because is this new phenomenon in South Korea that's pretty insane. As a woman myself, I find it really interesting. So the B in 4B stands for no. So there are basically four things that Korean women are saying no to. Fascinating. The first B is bion, no marriage. The second B is bichusan, no childbirth. The third B is bione, no dating. And the last and final B is biseksu, no sex, respectively. I think this whole movement started because South Korean women were just sick of the traditional Korean patriarchy and the misogynistic culture that really contributed to the oppression of women, especially through traditional gender roles. And motherhood is a big part of that. And if you don't know, South Korea is struggling with birth rate. And there are so many contributing factors to Korea's low birth rate. Cost of living, unaffordable housing, long working hours, and low paying jobs.
All right, so that was the first clip real quick. So, of course, if you heard what she was saying, basically, as I mentioned, of course, it's a movement called the 4B movement, started in North Korea. It looks like it started maybe a few years ago, back in 2019, where 4B stands for, of course, in the Korean language, B means no to some degree. So, as you heard there, women are saying no to four things, hence 4B. So, four things that they're saying no to marriage, no to dating, no to childbearing, no to even sleeping with men. Of course, it's all with men, of course. So I'm going to play another clip real quick. And of course, shout out to the content creators for this clip. Of course, I'll leave links to the actual clips as well, too, down below. All right, let's take a look at this other clip.
So a new feminist movement is taking root here in the United States, and it came out of Korea. It's known as the 4B movement, where women are saying no to four things: dating men, having sex with men, marrying men, and having children with them. But apparently, a lot of American women are getting the impression that this is a movement that is sweeping the nation, and they want it to take root here in the United States.
It's so crazy that I am just now finding out what the 4B movement is, because me and the other women in my life, we've been on that. We've been on the 4B movement. We've been on the 4C movement. What is you talking about? So I think that the 4B movement, if it's not already evident, it's going to make its way to the United States. It's very interesting. The men are already begging.
It's interesting that a lot of the women who are making these videos are sort of functioning from the assumption that women are already perfect. We are already the best people that we can be, and it really is that the problem and the issues are just men. They are the ones who bear the burden of everything that's wrong within the dating sphere right now, and we have no accountability to be taken.
Ladies. Ladies, let me talk to you guys real quick. Of course, man, I'm gonna hold us accountable as well too. But this video in particular, of course, we're talking to the women. I spoke on something like this relatively recently, some time ago, where there was news going around, and I think it's still happening till this day, of women getting punched in the face out in New York City specifically. I guess around the world, but it seems like there's been a growing trend of women getting punched in the face. You can literally Google it: women getting punched in the face in broad daylight. I'm seeing actors getting harassed or whatever the case is. So I'm hearing stories, of course, of, situations like that, of course. And then you got this trend, the 4B movement, starting in South Korea, slowly but surely making its way over here in America. And in that video, and in that previous video, in this video now of what I'm speaking on, ladies, this is not the approach you're gonna want to take moving forward. I've said this before. And I don't want to laugh because, all right, let's dissect this, right? Women of the world who are either actively dating or, taking a hiatus, whatever the situation may be. If you are a single woman right now, I'm going to ask that you please reconsider your approach towards this 4B movement and things of that nature. Ladies, please hear me out, man. Hear me out. I don't think this is the mindset and approach you're going to want to embrace moving forward for multiple reasons. I'll name a few. Men are not your enemies. We're not your enemies, regardless of your personal experiences, regardless of these little trends that you see on social media, regardless of how you might feel in the workplace or in your whatever the case is. At our core, we're not your enemies. I've been seeing a lot of things as well, too, in terms of like domestic abuse. You know, we got the whole Diddy allegations going on. And let me just make that very clear as well, too. I have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to domestic abuse. You'll never get the green light from me when I hear a story about a man beating up a woman and things of that nature. That doesn't really sit too well with me. So am I saying that women are not warranted in their feelings of feeling like, you know, what are the cases? Because long have we heard the narrative of, oh, all men ain't shit, all men are this, all men are that, blah, blah, blah. And I get you because, and this is where I say I'm going to hold both parties accountable. Yes, being a member of the male species, I'm aware of the plight of the woman. Not saying that I've actively, you know, caused any harm or heartbreak to any woman out there in the world. I don't think I have. But I understand, especially in the modern day dating scene right now, of how it's slim pickings and you feel like men are, you know, not putting their best foot forward and, you know, properly courting you. Men are, you know, thinking with the wrong head, as we say, whatever the case is. And I get it. I get it's scary out there. I do get that. But I think it's more detrimental to embrace the mindset of, hey, man, we're done with men altogether for multiple reasons. One, for your own protection. I said this before, too, in the other video, man. When calamity strikes and the world starts going astray, which I think it is slowly but surely going to start doing, you're going to need to be protected. Now, you could probably say, oh, well, no, we'll band together as women and start a militia and arm ourselves, whatever the case is. Is that logical? Yeah, I mean, you could. But is that logical? Another reason, if not for your own protection, for the continuation of the human species. If y'all are headstrong on not bearing children anymore, then society will slowly but surely no longer exist. The human species will be extinct. Now, I'll say this, of course, I think I even spoke on this in another video as well, too. There is such thing as a depopulation theory where there is a belief that there are people out there, maybe even some elites, that believe the world is too populated. I think right now, of course, as I mentioned, the population right now is about 8 billion. There's people out there that believe we should really be around 5 or 6 billion, right? So for some people, I'm sure they hear this movement and feel like, oh man, this is great news because there's already too many humans on the planet anyway. Now, honestly, to be completely honest, and I don't want to go down that tangent, I kind of do agree that there's a lot of humans on the planet. I think we need to be more intentional when it comes to childbearing and bringing children into this earth, whatever the case is, but that's a whole nother topic. I want to focus on this movement of women feeling like they don't need men and they're fed up with men. Ladies, man, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I understand. It's hard out here. It's scary out here. It's scary out here for the men as well, too. But for y'all to start a whole movement, you don't see us starting a whole movement saying that we're done with y'all. We're not. And I don't know if I'm speaking for myself. I want to believe that I'm speaking for a large demographic of men out there in the world, but we really do appreciate women. Where would we be without y'all? You see what I'm saying? So it's just like, it kind of hurts me, man, that y'all feel like this is the right approach to take with this movement. Again, started back in South Korea. Now, of course, I read another article somewhere. I can pull it up if anything, if I come across it, that countries like South Korea, Japan are, investing, government-funded initiatives to see to it that they can counteract the downward trend of the human population, of their population out there, whatever the case is. So they're encouraging young adults and people to, get out there and start dating and, having children and things of that nature, getting married and things of that nature, because of course they have a declining population. So it's always interesting to me, especially in the times that we're in right now, where you hear, there's slim pickings out there, people are done with dating, but again, to start a whole movement and say, hey, we are completely done with men, what's the alternative? Ladies, there's a certain reality that we're all going to have to embrace, men and women, when it comes to how we interact with each other in this world, specifically in dating, of course, since we're talking about dating and courtship and marriage and childbearing and things of that nature. The times are different. We can't apply old rules and old methods to today's modern world when it comes to dating, the interaction between men and women. Ladies, man, there's double standards that work in y'all favor, and there are double standards that work in our favor. Let's just call a spade a spade. There's things that you guys have access to or that y'all are more privy to that men will never be able to do. And vice versa. There's ways of the world that men operate in that, okay, you would argue and say operate in our favor and does not operate in your favor. the reality is, all things considered, we still need to figure out a way where we could still interact with each other and continue having children and continue having, getting married if that's what you feel inclined to do. I don't want to go. There's so many tangents I feel that I could go down because I do have my personal views in terms of bringing children into this world and getting married. But I want to focus on this 4B movement specifically. I'm against the 4B movement. I don't think women should collectively embrace the 4B movement of not having children, not being married, not dealing with men at all, not sleeping with all together. That is counterproductive. And who are you going to turn to when shit hits the fan? Is all I'm asking. What's the alternative? What's the alternative? Like, all right, we're done with men, so we're going to do this now. What are you going to do? So it's just like, and dare I say, you see, I got to be mindful with y'all when it comes to this topic because dare I say, get with the program. Dare I say, lower your standards. Oh, man, I could only imagine the backlash of what one would receive if I even say that. And I'm not even necessarily saying that. But I do want to challenge you to be a little bit more realistic. That's fair, right? Everybody's entitled to their standards. You are entitled to your standards. If there's some things, if you have a no tolerance policy on certain things, all right, cool. You're entitled to that. If there's some things that you just won't tolerate when it comes to dating or with certain men or whatever cases, that's cool. I get you. But as you continue to get older and life continues to go on, I'm not saying put yourself in a situation where you feel like you compromised your morals or your own, whatever the case is, your own standards. No, I'm not saying that at all. But is the 4B movement realistic? Is that the approach you really want to take? I said I was going to hold both parties accountable on this video, man. Fellas, man, and I said this in the other video as well, too. What happened to the days when we used to really be out here protecting the women and children? Fellas, man, like, it's been too long for the narrative to be, we ain't shit, and all men are dogs. I've been hearing that since I was a little kid. I've been hearing that since I was a youngin'. Back in the 90s, all men are dogs, all men are... Is that really the situation? Like, I still feel like there's a population of stand-up men out here that actually care to protect the women and children. I would like to pride myself in saying I feel like I'm part of that demographic. Confidently. Maybe that might be because of all the women that I have in my family, sisters, nieces, aunts, cousins. I have a lot of women in my family when I actually thought about it the other day. There's a lot of women in my family. So it's just like, I hear y'all, man. I feel like I have a better understanding. I'm not going to say I understand y'all fully, but I understand the plight of the woman, man. I get it. I get it, especially in these modern times, because it's not like the traditional days where, our parents or our grandparents came up on and they really, they were staying power. Like your parents or grandparents, they came up in a different time. Pre-social media, pre-dating apps, there's so many things that our parents and our grandparents and the parents before them didn't have to deal with. So we got to be, realistic and understanding the times are indeed different. It's unfortunate, but the times are indeed different. They are. Yes, I do want to hold the men accountable. Fellas, let's just be solid dudes, bro. Let's just be solid with the women. Tell them straight up what it is. And ladies, you got to understand as well, too. See, I'm hopping on both sides here. Ladies, man, there's some things that you guys are prone to doing that is just not going to fly with certain men, bro. It's not. Whether it's a readjustment of the attitude, whether it's you always see this conversation on social media about being submissive and this, that, and the other, man. I'm not telling you to be weak, ladies. But I'm telling you there's certain things that y'all are passionate about that just won't fly with certain men. So what's the compromise? You know what I'm saying? And fellas, man, like, come on, bro. Like, I get it. I'm a man. I get it. I get how it is. I get how we operate. I do, man. But we don't got to dog the women. And this is not me pandering and try to, gain the women vote because, again, I'm trying to hold both parties accountable. But it's like, fellas, man, come on, bro. So ultimately, in a nutshell, folks, all I'm saying is this can't be the route we want to take. The 4B movement, I hope it loses its traction because this is not something that we want to embrace. We should put more energy into finding a solution like, all right, ladies, gentlemen, what's the common ground that we could meet on when it comes to how we coexist with each other moving forward? What's the solution? What's the alternative? What's the solution? What's the alternative? How can we come to solid ground and get back to the traditional ways that our parents and our grandparents came on, man? It saddens me to know of such a movement where women feel like they don't want to deal with this at all. What? Y'all don't want to deal with this at all? Is it that bad out there? Let me know. Hey, leave a comment in the comment section. Is it really that bad out there to the point where y'all feel like, nah, man, let's start a movement. Let's embrace this 4B movement and not deal with men at all. Is that the approach you really want to take? What's the alternative? That's all I'm asking for. Questions, comments, concerns, I'd love to hear them down in the comment section below. As always, folks, as I mentioned, the likes, the comments, and subscribes are always greatly appreciated. Let me hear your thoughts down in the comment section, folks. What do you think about this 4B movement? Ladies, do you subscribe to this 4B movement? Are you actively a participant in this 4B movement? Fellas, what's your take on this as well, too, man? How do you feel about ladies saying that they don't want to deal with this at all? I feel a little bit upset about that, man, because, again, I love women, man. I love y'all, man. We should be out here protecting y'all and seeing to it that we can find some common ground where we can all coexist with each other, man. That's just my take. Of course, I want to hear yours. I will catch you on the next one.